Welcome to UMC All Access. I'm Vince Bailey. And today we're in Hotlanta, Georgia with writer, producer, and director of The Fix, which is currently streaming on Urban Movie Channel, none other than Paris Bauldwin.
I feel like that's the best introduction I've ever gotten in my life. Like I felt a little bit like Beyonce.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Well, you look like a little.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, let's talk about it. It's The Fix. Everyone's loving this. The audience of UMC loving it. Talk about why this, well, first tell them what it's about.
Absolutely.
And why this particular story that you told.
Absolutely. The Fix follows the journey of a mother and daughter. The mother's on the brink of addiction when she's kind of embroiled and thrown into some unwelcome drama with a police officer in Los Angeles that she's having an affair with. This young girl appears to be the daughter that she gave away at birth, and we follow their journey together. But thematically, we really, I wanted to explore what it means to define family on your own terms and how that definition helps to augment life in a drastic way, which is what happened in the case of Abigail and Fallon. I wrote the screenplay based on a small story from a book that I wrote called Fragments of Addiction. My father and I wrote it together, and the book addresses different people's stories and dealings with addiction, whether it's their own or someone else's. So it's really just a thread of perseverance and what that looks like. And there was a story in there about a mother and daughter that I really gravitated to and turned into a movie.
Oh, and what a movie it is. I
Thank
mean,
you so much.
And you, I mean, performing the trifecta as writer, director, and producer.
I did everything. I sewed costumes, I made sandwiches, I edited the movie, I was almost gonna sing on the soundtrack. I did everything,
Yes.
but it was, you know, it was my baby. And my very first film, I had, you know, big dreams of one day being a director and making a movie. And now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, this is the only thing I can do with my life. There's nothing else for me out there at all.
Yes, yes. Well, talk about that development process,
Absolutely.
you know, from script to bringing it to the big screen.
Absolutely. The you know, for anybody's first film, from what I know, for a lot of people's first film journey, it takes forever. It's one of the long, for me it was extremely long. It was, you know, the most time I've ever spent on anything other than living and breathing and like being me. From, you know, conception to execution to completion of post-production, it took nearly 5 years. Like, so we started development at the encouragement of a grad school teacher who read the first draft of the script, thought it was phenomenal, and encouraged me to submit it to the Nickel Fellowship in Screenwriting, the Academy Awards sponsors every year. And I was like, oh, I don't think it's that good. It's, you know, it's all right. But it placed in the top 10%.
Yes.
And from that, I was able to submit it to different agencies, and everybody discouraged that. They're like, oh, you can't just blindly submit your screenplay to get talent involved. And I was like, well, I'm gonna try it anyways. So I sent the script, you know, with the acknowledgement of the placement in the Nickel Fellowship with handwritten letters to different agents for talent that I wanted to have come and audition for the film. And we got a really, really incredible response. And, you know, although we didn't have the biggest budget, we probably have the smallest budget. We had a lot of people believe in the project,
Yes.
believe in me, thankfully, and we were able to get it done. Then we ran out of money for post-production, obviously. So that part, you know, took a while, but, you know, thankfully my co-executive producers, they have a post-production facility in Los Angeles, Brenton Early and Kenny Lofton, and we were able to get it done.
Well, you got it done and got it done very well. You talked about the
you.
casting, and you yourself served. Well, let me just say, the cast is fantastic.
Awesome, they are the best.
Strong
Absolutely.
performances. Queen Asia.
Who's absolutely
Come on.
brilliant, right?
Asian queen. She
Asian
is
queen.
the queen.
She
is the queen. I mean, what a find she was.
Crazy enough, she's actually my younger sister.
Are you serious?
Little known fact, yes. My father married her mother. She was 3 or 4 at the time when they met, and they actually started dating because her name was Asia, my name was Paris, and that was like his pickup line. And she is phenomenal. She's absolutely brilliant. We were in the casting process, unfortunately, when my father passed, and so I went home for the funeral, and she was in the middle of a forensics competition. And it's not, dealing with like CSI stuff. It's like a speech competition. And she performed one of her monologues and completely blew me away. I had absolutely no idea. She was so incredibly talented. And it was really, God purposing these steps. And she came to LA to film shortly after. And while we were filming, I didn't want to tell anybody that she was my sister or we were related, because I wanted people to really recognize her talent on their own. And so by the end of the first week, everyone's like, oh my God, where did you find her? She's so amazing. She's so talented. She's so professional. And I was like, oh yeah, it runs in the family.
Runs in the family. I mean, she is riveting. You can't take your eyes off of her when she walks into a scene. I mean, she takes over. And then you surrounded her with other great actors as well. Talk about, you were the casting director. So what was that process like?
I remember we were casting for Abigail for maybe 2 or 3 days, and I just didn't find anyone that really fit the bill. And again, we didn't have a ton of money, so we couldn't go, on a bigger route, but Maida walked into the room, and we probably talked for an hour before she even read lines or anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's just a beautiful person inside and out. And I thanked her for coming, and she's like, well, don't you want me to read? I was like, oh yeah, you should probably do that. But in my mind's eye, as soon as she walked in, I knew I wanted to work with her. She was absolutely phenomenal, and I'm just so proud and so thankful, that she came with me on this journey and believed in it the way she did.
Yes, Abigail, what a strong character.
She was brilliant.
And her playing back and forth with Fallon, and one of the critical scenes there where Fallon starts talking about how life, aged her so fast, and what would buy. She wish she could go back to being a kid. Yes. So talk to us about the discussion that then we find out she got pregnant, and the cycle that plays out between, say, Abigail and Fallon.
Absolutely. I think that something that was key to me was this theme of breaking cycles. And I think the introduction of Fallon now being a young mom and needing some sort of support, a level of support that Abigail didn't have when she was pregnant, that I, wanted to give Abigail a purpose. And I think that was the driving force after she realized that Fallon was pregnant, that she didn't want Fallon to, be a part of this cyclic, teen pregnancy. She's gonna give it up for adoption. She's gonna keep it. She wanted to be able to provide something that she wasn't able to provide for her own daughter, and she was given that opportunity.
Well, and roles kind of flipped there too. I mean, Fallon comes in as an adult, teaches Abigail how to read, and really tells her to do the right things.
Exactly.
So I mean, what was the reasoning or the deal behind that? The effects that it really had on Abigail, I guess.
She needed something. She was searching for something to save her, which is why she turned to alcohol, why she turned to drugs, why she turned to these, malignant relationships. He needed something to save her, and she was looking in all of the wrong places. So when Fallon shows up, she's this light that she needs. She's the color in the dark place. So when she shows up, it changes Abigail's the course of her life, because she's mired in all of this drama and disappointment and hurt, and she witnesses this young kid get killed at the hands of her lover, so to speak, and she is forced to do the right thing, because once you get that little bit of light, I feel like it makes a big difference in a lot of people's lives. If you're in a dark time and somebody presents that to you, you're drawn to it like a moth to a flame. So, but in a good way, because moths go to flame and they die. There's a different analogy.
but Abigail gets close to that flame. She really does. Was her role kind of the effects from being a teen mom, teen pregnancy?
Absolutely. I feel like she was lost, and a bit of her backstory. She didn't really have a family of her own. There's a scene between Abigail and Fallon where she tells her not to touch her cookbook and not to touch anything. It's the only thing that her mother left behind for her. Her mother dies young, and she has to go and, kind of define herself. And unfortunately, she entertains the wrong relationships, and that cycle is what, leads her to working as a waitress and surrounding herself with the wrong people in that environment, and to make the choices that she made.
Well, one of the good partners that she had in the restaurant, so to speak, is the great actor Eric Roberts.
Absolutely.
The great Eric Roberts is in this film.
Who was so great, like phenomenal.
Yes,
And
plays her boss, the king of second chances, really imparts some wisdom into her. He tells this story about his sister's death when there was some tragedy that was going on with Abigail. What does Abigail take away from that?
Absolutely. I feel like not even just Abigail's character. I feel like it's a bigger, like, a lot of times we feel like we're the only ones going through drama or issues because it's easy to look around and, you know, compare our lives to the facade of what other people's looks like, or our perception of what other people's lives are. But you know, once you glean that everybody goes through things, it's just really how you react to, you know, that turbulent situation or that circumstance. It's really about your reaction to it. And so when he shares that story with her, it's just so that she understands that everybody goes through pain, everybody goes through heartbreak. It's just how you deal with it that defines you in the end. And so Abigail's able to take away from that. You know, she has this boss who seemingly gives her a hard time all the time, who's dealt with issues as well his entire life. And so he's turned that negative into a positive and has dedicated this restaurant to his sister and to giving, you know, these women second chances. And he does try with Abigail and succeeds in the end, I think.
I know it was great working with him as well.
It really was. Again, one of the handwritten letters to one of the talent agencies, his wife actually read the script and responded and said she absolutely loved it and he would be thrilled to do it. And I was like, I don't know, is she just saying it or did he really read it? But she invited me to their home and we had a discussion about it and he believed in the story. And from there, it was, you know, it was such a blessing to have him on set. He's been acting for longer than I've been alive. And he was just really great. He would pull pranks on the crew.
Are you serious?
He was just such an incredible person to have on set, and just the wisdom that he was able to impart to to a newbie who was, you know, nervous every single day directing. But you know, I definitely gleaned some strength from working with him and some wisdom, and it was absolutely phenomenal. He was brilliant, and I'm so appreciative that he believed in the project.
There was another hot talent that you had in this from
I know
Queen.
exactly where you're going because you say hi.
Who we talking about? Who we talking
Tree. We call him Tree. This is his nickname from when he played basketball with Tim. And like, phenomenal talent. And he's lighting up the screen now with Queen Sugar. They're actually in production right now, but he's so phenomenal. And like his nuances, everything about working with him was just so incredible. And he just has such a great person. Like, he lights up the set when he comes on. Again, another person pulling pranks and like just a great talent.
And I'm jealous of his abs, I'll tell you
that.
What. But
so the scene with him and Abigail in the bedroom, we had to do like 25 takes.
Cut, we gotta do it again.
Put your shirt off, keep it on, keep your shirt off. I don't.
Well, he too, his character, Devin, the bartender, Devin, he also gives Abigail a second chance.
Absolutely, he does. You know, he's crushing on her. He sees that, you know, she just needs a helping hand or a positive influence in her life. And so he tries to be that. And, you know, she disses him every opportunity she gets, but he perseveres in the end with like breaking through that tough facade that she has on the outside, and is really there when she needs somebody the most.
Very good. Now there's the title of the film is The Fix, and you know there's a lot of fixing that goes on in this. A lot of fixing, Mickey's overdose, or things that need fixing. Mickey's overdose, the teen that's murdered, teen pregnancy. So I mean,
so dramatic, right?
So, it does.
Going through all this stuff, I'm like, oh man, there was a lot.
Well, talk about, I mean, the metaphor as you used it in this of the fix.
You know, the term "the fix" is usually, it can be used for drugs, like, you know, to score drugs. I need a fix. So playing off of that, actually, Kenny Lofton came up with the title. It was originally called Chrysalis. You know, about a caterpillar's journey into becoming a butterfly. And there's a lot of references
but frighteningly
beautiful. Yes, look at you. But we changed it in post-production because, you know, thematically the fix really worked. Again, as you just highlighted, there's so many different people and things that need to be fixed. And so that's how it came about. Kenny was like, you know what, Chrysalis is nice, but the fix. And we all sat there, we rubbed our chins for like 45 seconds, and we're like, yeah, the fix.
And everyone's trying to fix, I mean, how people try to fix these situations,
Absolutely.
good and bad.
Exactly. And you know, sometimes we assert so much energy in the wrong place trying to fix it when, you know, sometimes the fix is just walking away.
That's right.
So it just worked out perfectly on so many different levels, and I love it. I'm gonna get a tattoo of it.
Well, as a music lover, I gotta tell you that the soundtrack is bumping too.
Right.
Right from the beginning, it sounds, I mean, who did the music and how did that work?
Hayden Clement, he works with Film Pool, a company in Burbank, California, who came on to co-executive produce the film with me. He found some talent, and when I was editing, I listened to SoundCloud a bunch because I was looking for some independent artists. Again, we didn't have budget for, you know, big music clearances. And when I first edited the film, I edited it to Mumford & Sons, who was one of my favorite bands. But I was like, no way in a million years will I ever be able to afford Mumford & Sons. Like, not even like the first 30 seconds of a song. My sister was like, oh, there's a guy that I went to school with in Omaha, Nebraska, who has a very similar sound. And I was like, really? Like, Mumford & Sons is very iconic, but not similar sound, but a fantastic sound. In the group The Lonely Biscuits, you hear their songs throughout the film.
Yes, yes.
They are phenomenally talented. Group out of Omaha, Nebraska, represent. But they are so crazy talented. And then I reached out to some of the other artists that I was listening to on SoundCloud, Share Sleeper, Lazy Jane, and they were like, yes, please use our music, just get it out there. We would love we love what you're doing. And we opened a dialogue about it. And, you know, like I said, I've been so fortunate that people believed in the project and believed in me, and, you know, we all came together to do this, and you know, I think that the music augmented the film so much, so I'm so appreciative for their talent.
I agree. Well, big shouts out to Omaha, Nebraska.
Absolutely, hometown represent.
Omaha. Well, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into filmmaking.
Absolutely. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, originally born and raised. I still have family there that have never gotten on airplanes, if you can believe it.
Wow.
But
Me too.
Really, very Indiana. But I remember in kindergarten, we went to go see Wizard of Oz at the Rose Theater in downtown Omaha. And I just remember being so inspired by the way the play affected people's emotions. You know, we all laughed together. I remember at one moment my teacher was crying, and there was a jelly bean that got squashed on the floor, and all the kids were squirming. And I'm like, it's just a jelly bean. And they're like, it's so gross. Oh. But in my mind, I was so inspired by being able to tell stories that moved people in that way and transported people. You know, we were transported to Oz for 90 minutes, and I just remember, you know, recalling how inspired that made me. I wanted to tell stories to be
exactly.
Yes. I wanted to be able to tell stories that did, you know, the same thing. I wanted to be able to move people to tears, to move people to action, to explore themes that brought people together. And so from a young age, I started telling stories, and my father hated it. Whenever I would come home from school, like tell him about my day, he was like, all right, well, don't tell a story. What happened today? And I'm like, all right, let me just tell you the real. But I would tell stories all of the time, all of the time. Exactly. Then we were on the bus, and then this horse ran out. He's like, a horse, really? So I knew from a young age I wanted to tell stories. There was nothing else I wanted to do other than that. And so I began writing from a young age, and then in undergrad I wrote a series of plays, and I did some short films, and then I went to grad school to get my master's in film and video production, and had a couple of short films that screened at Cannes, which was amazing, and then the fix. Then the fix.
Yes. And now, you know, fast forward, I mean, congratulations on all that success, but
Absolutely.
You're here in Atlanta.
I am.
Working on Love and Hip Hop.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're the one that's
Different
making it
side
happen.
of the spectrum.
Yes.
I am a supervising producer
Yes.
for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta.
Yes.
I have been very blessed in this journey. I've been working with Eastern TV and Mona Scott Young, who I love and adore to death. I've been working with them. This is my 6th season of shows, and actually 5th season of shows. And I started in LA to Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, and then we did a spinoff here, and then 2 seasons of Atlanta. And you know, it's crazy. It's Monday nights. You guys have seen it, I'm sure.
Yes.
It's a crazy phenomenon though, because we've been #1 all season, breaking records. Last year we were ranked number 5 overall for cable shows, which is insane. It was like Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, and like to be in that company for a reality show is completely unheard of. So we've been experiencing some incredibly amazing success, and I'm so thankful to be a part of the family with them and learn that, you know, part of the industry as well, because I think it's important to know all elements in this industry. You know, it's been a really great journey. It really
what are
has
some
been.
of the other projects that you're working on going on right
I
now?
actually just finished shooting a pilot with an amazing company here in Atlanta. Winsome Sinclair is a huge casting producer who I love and adore. She approached me to write and direct a pilot that she had an idea for, and we actually just filmed it with a phenomenal cast. It's called The Hot Project. So we're gonna shop that around, and over the summer I'm shooting my personal passion project, which is called Conversations with Strangers. We're gonna shoot the pilot for that, and it follows the journey of 2 friends on 2 separate, you know, continents as they deal with being millennials and, you know, relationships and love, and again exploring the theme that we are a lot more similar than we think, because we live in a time where separatism is preached, and I feel like, you know, we don't want to really get to know our neighbors, and so I think it's really important to, as often as possible, illustrate just how interconnected we are and just how much more similar we are than we think. So.
Wow, you're so thoughtful, and I mean, just a great spirit. What is it that you want your legacy? You know, let's fast forward, and when I think of Paris, I think
that you love life. Honestly, I love telling stories, as I said, and I want my legacy to be that. I have 14 nieces and nephews, so every time I see them, I just want to impart that to them. It's like, you know, my dad wanted me to be a doctor, he wanted me to be a lawyer, he wanted me to go to school for academic, and I, you know, to a certain extent, I'd follow that path until I couldn't any longer. But I just want them to know that you can follow your dreams no matter how big they seem, because 5 years ago, you know, I didn't have, you know, the Ava DuVernays and everybody in the resounding fashion that we have them now, Tina Mabry, Issa Rae, you know, Shonda Rhimes, all these incredible role models to look up to that are wonderful illustrations that, you know, dream as big as you want, the glass ceiling is breaking, no matter what it is, go after it and be passionate about it. So that's the legacy I want to leave behind, is no matter how big the dream seems, go after it no matter what. And enjoy every moment, because it's not always going to be easy. It wasn't easy, you know, shooting the fix. We had bologna sandwiches and grits a lot.
Sounds good to me.
No. But, you know, if you have a dream in your heart, no matter what the odds are, no matter what the obstacles are, you know, go after it. You know, it was the first, this was the first, is the first of many more films to come, God willing. And so for the response to be what it was, for us to win at the American Black Film Festival, which was the very first film festival I ever went to over a decade ago, and for, you know, God to really purpose the steps the way he has, I am phenomenally blessed.
Yes. Well, before we go, I got to ask you, how has Urban Movie Channel and you know, other SVODs and how does that help filmmakers like yourself and others tell their stories and get their films out?
Tremendously. You know, for many years, of course, the studio system is what it is, but they only tell a certain sort of, they only told, it's changing now drastically, but they only told a certain, you know, type of stories. But now, with there being so many different platforms, you can tell whatever story you want. You can put it on YouTube, you can put it on, you know, it could stream. It doesn't limit the types of stories that are being told. And I am such a fan of that because, again, you know, being able to see different stories brings us together in a beautiful way. And so with, you know, Urban Movie Channel, it's just amazing to be able to see a myriad of our stories, different colors of our skin, and, you know, giving opportunities to, you know, us to tell our stories without being limited in the way we tell them.
Well, I'm so glad you have taken advantage of this opportunity.
Me too.
It's awesome. That's all the time we have for today. I would go on and on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's been so amazing. And thank you guys so much for watching The Fix. And I'm glad to call UMC home.
That's great. That's great. Well, listen, you can catch The Fix, written, directed, and produced by none other than Paris Bauldwin, right on your urbanmoviechannel.com. I'm Vince Bailey for UMC All Access. We'll see you next time.